Hey everybody, it's Tyler again with Women Making Waves. I am so excited today to be able to talk with Iman Wilkerson of the Run Down Run. I recently had the pleasure of meeting with Iman actually in person. We got to do an in-person meeting and we got connected through a dear friend, Samantha Pruitt. And I'm just so forever grateful because I feel like Iman and I are like sisters from another mister.
Yes.
We're the same age. We have so much in common around sustainability, the environment, community building. This is Iman's big jam, is community building around movement and running, particularly building out run clubs and supporting people in that endeavor. And she's a pup parent. She just got a new puppy. So that is so exciting also. I just wanted to point out, we'll talk about it later, but I mean, there's something around this jacket that we'll definitely be showcasing why we're wearing these. But Iman, welcome to our interview today. And thank you so much for agreeing to just talk to us for this month's theme, Hear Me Roar, because you are a lioness, friend. You are
Oh,
definitely that person.
thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
So let us know a little bit about who you are. This is all about getting to know your story, getting to know Iman a little deeper. I know you've got the rundown.run. We are going to talk about that. You have an app that you created, which is phenomenal because not everyone can say they've done that. I'm just going to throw that out there right now, which is phenomenal. You do a lot of amazing things. You put your mind to something and you kind of go for it and you don't really take no for an answer and you find a way. And I think that that's something that I personally admire, but I know a lot of other women will resonate with as well. So tell us about kind of where this all began for you. Give us a little bit of your background.
Yeah, so I live in San Diego now, and originally I'm from North Carolina. I moved to New York City when I was 20. I transferred to go to school at FIT, Fashion Institute of Technology. I thought that my career would have been in fashion, not as a designer, but more on the products, on the business side. So I wanted to be I wanted to go into production and product development. I dropped out of school to start my own image consulting company because I wanted to do something that I can identify with. And so for me at that time, I wanted to make the connection between people and like why they wore what they wear. You know, there's always a story behind it, whether it's intentional or subliminal, and making that connection of are you who you want to be with what you wear. You know, so what does your look say about you? And I wanted to connect those dots from a fashionable but yet also psychological standpoint. So I did that for a little bit, went back to school, worked at American Eagle in production product development. I eventually moved to Chicago, and I was only there for a couple winters. And I moved there for a relationship, which didn't work out, but I think that also allowed me to understand, in contrast of what I want in my life versus what I really am not willing to tolerate. Um, I continued to move out west and I found myself in San Diego. I thought I would round out the top three big cities. LA is a great place to visit, but I think I missed a smaller city, not similar to where I'm from, but just it has aspects of being within proximity to nature, as well as having a slightly larger city side of things, like being able to walk around to certain areas like I could in New York and Chicago. But my intention to move to San Diego after having lived in Chicago was happiness. Like, does this place make me happy? Does it resonate joy? And if it does, let's start there and figure out how we can permeate that feeling, make it more, make happiness feel like joy on a daily basis. And so I moved here. I worked at a startup for a short amount of time, eventually worked at a brewery because beer makes me happy. Like I love working in brewery. I love talking to people about beer. I was a what was I? I was a tasting room retail operations manager there. I realized that while that industry made me happy, working at that particular brewery did not. So then I had to take a step back and realize, all right, so if I am in a city that does make me happy, then what can I do to support that happiness? You know, and so I've been in fashion, I've done that, I don't want to do that again. I've worked in the beer industry, didn't want to do that. So running, I really am passionate about running. And then so I just kind of made a list of things that are already out there. Would I want to do that? Would I want to go take the time to, like, be an accredited coach, or start up a fashion line for running, or have a running store or something like that? And all of those things were a no. But what I am good at is creating experiences for people, for them to, like, take away with them a good memory. And I realized that, like, being able to host and facilitate those things, it I just like it when people can walk away from a situation feeling better than when they walked into it. I enjoy running from the aspect of being able to support people and cheer them on. I don't want to be a coach. So there's no professional run cheerleader out there, but what could that look like, you know?
But
Um,
why not? You could definitely create that.
right.
You could just
And
create that.
right. So I kind of wrote down all the things that I thought I was good at, the things I enjoyed doing, and how I could probably make money off of it. And so I came to the conclusion it would look like a running tour guide. Um, so for those who are visiting San Diego, then I would take them on a run tour. But it wasn't really so much about me running with every single person who wanted to do that. It's really creating a business around that, and these unique run tours, like sunset cliffs at sunset, or have a pace partner who can be there to support you while you have an intention of wanting to run 10 miles, but so you're not lost and you feel safe, so you still feel supported. So I wanted to create all of that together. But then, I did that. And then after some time, I realized that I wanted to create a bigger impact, with people who may not be able to touch, or who may not be coming to San Diego, or maybe they are already in San Diego. And then that's where everything started for me.
That's amazing. And I think that you touched on a couple things I want to go back to is like choices, choices that you made to intentions, intentions of where you were and where you wanted to be and where you wanted to go. And then also while you were there, going a little bit within, like digging in and going like, what makes me happy? What brings me joy? And then what can I do? What do I know how to do well? What's the things that they're burning inside me. So these are the reasons why I'm looking at you going, she's a total wave maker. I mean, 100%, because you're thinking about something and you're like, I'll just make that happen. I'll create that and I'll find the people and the resources to do so. And
Yeah.
so by doing that, how do you, I guess let's talk about the rundown dot run. So you start with these groups of running like tours and experiences, which are awesome and phenomenal. I'm sure that was very successful. And then you have people saying there's something more, there's impact. So then kind of like elaborate on the impact part, because you had a yearning. It sounds like there was something calling to you to do a little bigger, go a little further.
Right. So it's one of these situations where, and I was recently reminded that, um, when I started Step by Step Run, the run tour company, I approached hotels, and it's like, here are my list of running services. I think this would be a really great opportunity to present to your guests. And I never got a response back. I mean, and even one hotel was very dismissive towards me, which made me want to work harder. And I was like, well, I don't think I need you then. Like, I know I'm going to you. This is out of a courtesy, but I don't need you. So I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to go back. I'm going to create an app. And so the app was going to be for travelers. But while I was doing that, I was doing a lot of other things within the running community. And when I realized that there were a lot of people who did not know of what other running communities were going on outside of, like, maybe this beer run club that I had created. They didn't know about what were the big events that are happening on Wednesdays or on Tuesdays or wherever. And I really, and for me, connection, because I've lived in other cities, and as an adult, it's incredibly hard to make friends. Connection is really important, because otherwise you're lonely. And, when you're lonely, you make poor decisions, and it's just a downward cycle that way. So being able to connect, and especially connect with a common denominator, it's impactful. It definitely is a rippling effect. And I'm still within a ripple effect of making the decision to step out and go to my first run club, not knowing if I was going to enjoy it, but hoping that I would. Um, and I think because of of that realization of creating a connection, I reevaluated my app, and I wanted to not just affect runners who are traveling to San Diego, but really want to connect other run clubs and people who are new to running, or even people who had been running for so long in the community but didn't know about what was going on, in South Bay or in Encinitas. Just making the connections closer. So that's what we did, and so we launched it in February of 2020. Pandemic happened the next month. We wanted to continue to engage with the community because we were telling people don't run together, but still stay active. And when that time was to re-engage, we were there ready to tell people where to go. And then we were able to do some really fun things with Lululemon and Balboa Park. We were able to launch into other communities in LA and try to trickle, and have been able to trickle our way up the coast of California. But what has been really interesting is just like how much this seems to be needed in these communities, because a lot of things haven't happened, especially before the pandemic. There were these few run clubs, and if you felt like you fit in, if you didn't feel like you fit in, then you didn't really have a place. But then now there are so many opportunities for run clubs to emerge, but then also you don't feel like you're resigned to just one, two, or three. You have so many, and then there's space for you too. And I think that's really important, is to be seen. And then also to add an element of, in our most recent challenge, an environmental aspect of it, making people realize, or having people realize our impact to the environment. We take up space as runners, and so then it should be a concern of ours to understand what is happening within the environment and what we can do to change it, by making small steps along the way.
I That is amazing. And I think that the taking up space is something I want to dive into a little more, because you're right. As you're running, walking, you see your neighborhood and your community and your city and your area so much differently than you would if you're driving or if you're flying somewhere. You get to actually get to know places and people in a whole new way. So I think that you're right. Having that interface, that kind of connection already with it while you're out there running, you might see a neighbor and say hi. You might see your local coffee shop barista out there, or someone sweeping the porch of their business or something as you're running by. So those are the kind of things that, yes, you absolutely to notice things. And so why not then create that impact that you want by helping the environment and then being a part of that change that's going on, because that is your community and you do
Right.
care about it and you want to enjoy it while you're running. Like the joy you described earlier, I want to feel happy and joyful in my space that I'm taking up.
Mhm.
So I think that is just such a nugget of wisdom right there, is just like knowing that we're part of something bigger and that we can do something about it. And so I want to share a little bit too, that I did get to experience your challenge because I did take part in it, and in San Luis Obispo here on the Central Coast, and we did clean up and we found so many crazy things. And we thought our area, we were shocked because we thought, oh, it's so clean. Everything's so clean there already. We're not going to find anything hardly. And we
Mhm.
were surprised at what we found and things that we could do in just that short amount of time. And so I'm really grateful to you for kind of bringing people together in a community, but also allowing us that opportunity, like you said, to connect to our environment in a whole new way. That means a lot to all of us. And I think that I was able to share it with my daughter. So you're seeing next generation. I mean, we can pass this down and leave a legacy.
Yeah, I love that you were able to bring that into your community. Thank you so much. And I think it's very important to have children see, their parents do things for themselves from a healthy perspective, but then also altruistically. I think that a lot of where this comes from, it generates from my parents, and I don't think I really realized it until I became an adult myself, and I practiced self-awareness, but and mindfulness. But like my mother has always taken good care of her body, and she's always supported me in my running. Um, and they've always done so many things. I mean, we were a recycling house. Like that was always a thing. But we were also made aware of the environment, that we are guests when we step outside. We don't litter, we don't add to it. If anything, we try to leave it better than when we found it. And I didn't really realize how much my parents were a part of communities, you know, based off of their interests. It wasn't like, so my father is a fisherman. He's an avid fly fisherman. And it wasn't that, it's not just he went out to rivers or lakes to just fly by himself or fish by himself. He was part of the community. He was part of these groups, and he wanted to create change or make the environment or the communities better. Um, and I don't think I really realized that that was where I got that from. And I think that it's really important that whatever endeavor or hobby that you pursue, that you know, we're always better when we do things together. Just very simply, and to find the groups who are making that work within your city or your town.
Yeah, and as humans, I think we like to improve. We like to do good. We like to do better. I think in general, we like to build. We like to create. We like
Mhm.
to do things, and the connections are help part of that. Doing it with other people makes so much sense. And I think that it's like group exercise, like you were saying about running and a run club. It's doing something with someone else, and it's really not always what I learned from you is it's not always about running. Sometimes in that exercise piece, it's really
Yeah.
about you being in community with other people and you looking around at your community and your environment and saying, oh, we're in this together. You know, we're
Mhm.
doing something together for the common good. And we're doing something as we have a mission, like we're on a mission together.
Yeah.
So I really like that, bringing people to that core spot, you know, of like we're in a shared mission. And I know that you've done amazing things with partnering with Lululemon and some big brands to really allow, you know, with their company missions, you know, to align and say, look, we're going to then reward. I'm wearing this. Now I'm going to say why. Reward people. I mean, not that that matters either way, because I was going to do it anyway. But I'm saying it was so cool to
No,
receive
it's
a
nice.
gift card and say, go in and get something for yourself and reward yourself for doing that for us. And thank you. It was like a thank you gratitude thing. It felt really, really awesome. So I appreciate you for what you're putting together for our communities and what you want to build. Do you have anything inside you that you're like, I gotta give it, it's hear me roar, girl. So you can say whatever you want to say. I mean, call to action is really our important thing right now, is letting people know. Do you have something that you really want people to know and be left with?
Yeah, I want to say that where I am right now, I'm so proud that I work through all of that and figuring out who I am to be where I am right now, and to be able to meet you, to speak to this, to create this kind of impact. Um, I think that whatever, to your listeners, um, it is all within you to do that within yourself and within your community. Listen to yourself, trust yourself. You know, in environments when we want people to be part of what we're doing, we're asking people to trust us that we can carry it on. But most importantly, you have to trust yourself. Figure out what it is that what that calls your purpose, your desire, your passion, put it together and trust that you can execute it, because we are all so unique in this environment. We all have something that we can pursue. What stops us and what limits us is our doubt in ourselves and our abilities that we can't. Even though we do see this inspiration, this vision of what could be, but we always get snapped back into reality of like, well, it's not like that right now. I don't have the money, or I don't have the skill level, or I don't whatever. That vision was uniquely you, for you to figure out how to get from here to there. And once you commit to yourself, everything opens up, like the alchemist. You know, you just have to really go on that journey, and the journey is not an overnight success. You will feel lonely, you will feel confused a little bit, but when you do feel confused, it's because you doubt yourself. But you have to just have faith and stay the course, and then everything else will align at the perfect time for you to step back and be like, I gained the experience of failure, I have learned how to bounce back from that moment to continue to do what I really want to do, whatever that may be. So I think everybody's voice can be found when you are able to roar, when it comes from an authentic place. And that authentic place has to come from just trusting yourself.
You can't make big waves. You can't run the coast. You can't do all these things and make the impact we want to make and roar, like you said, using our voice, taking up space and connecting without that. So that was so beautifully said. You also quoted my favorite book. like, this is so perfect. But I'm really excited that we were able to have these moments together and be able to talk again with one another, see each other again. Cause you made an impact in my life, just meeting you and talking to you on the phone and then getting to meet you in person for a short time. And I know what you're doing for these communities all up and down the coast, starting there, but I know it doesn't end there. I know there's so much more to come. And I think you are a beautiful, a shining example of what we as women can do when we do trust ourselves and we
Oh,
do find our way. So thank you so much, Iman, for your time today. I really, really appreciate it. I know you got to get back to your beautiful puppy
no puppy.
and you got to be pup mom again, put on the pup mom hat. And yeah, we'll talk soon. And so we'll be able to share. Can you let us know how we can find you? How can our viewers and our community find you and get in contact with you and your community?
Absolutely. So, to know more about this web-based app where you can find all things running related in San Diego, LA, and then soon San Francisco, go to the rundown.run on Facebook. I'm sorry, well, Facebook, but also Instagram mostly. You can find us on the rundown.run too. So it's very consistent. Um, and if you ever want to follow my journey as now a pup mom, but also running, you can follow me. I'm onomatopoeia, so that's on.iman.opia.
Perfect. Well, we definitely will have people follow you and get connected with you because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people that want to get involved in what you've got going on.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It was such a pleasure to be able to have this conversation today.
Absolutely. Keep making waves.
Thank you.